men should fulfill a need that they have the capacity to. It's not about just being a man. What do you bring into a relationship that is a need?
Right? No romance without finance. You know what I mean? We grew up with that.
You got to have a day, OB.
If we gotta be with her,
If somebody knocks or bangs on my door just now, I wouldn't say my wife should go and open that door. As a man, I would want to go and face it.
But I feel like for ladies, they always want to step up. So if a lady is earning maybe 100K, she's looking for a guy that's earning above 100K.
listen, if I hear babe, I say no. Then we start to negotiate from no. People are just the media now. You know, there's a podcast popping up here. Everybody, you know, like the way the world has shrunk.
Yeah.
You know, and the access to the information highway. You know, it just means, so no, I think it's a brilliant initiative, bro.
So I'm just trying to have a platform here.
I feel like where we come from, very few people do a little bit of check on whatever they hear. You know, like just put out something and then we can even put out a lot of fake news and just sit back and watch what happens. Very few people do the work of like going back to check, like
just to verify.
Is that, you know, very few people.
Yes.
So, and then, so you can control people's minds like that. Like,
I think that's what the media does. That's what the media does. Sometimes I just think we have people in the background who are just playing with the populace.
Like,
they want to see how it actually goes. They just want to see how the news can actually just pan out.
It's wild, like that. It's wild. It's wild on the information highway. You know, that is the way.
Like,
you know,
you'll be surprised that people you feel are kind of literate and educated still flow with a lot of news.
I think we have a lot of that going on, and sometimes I think we have like bigger players that actually just stir the pot. And you get to see a lot of people just go through. They just go with it.
Sorry, I'm just going. Was it Wyclef Jean that famously said, "Every man's got disciples, man." You know, I think it's on the word. Does not say what, anything can happen. You know, I think it's on that track. I think it's on that anything can happen track, and it's just like every man's got disciples, and that's what the world has turned into. You know, and the more sensational you can be, whoa, you know, like. People we're slaves to that. We're slaves to that hate of emotion. You know, it's like you just play with people's emotions and just, you know, it just makes them go wild. Is that whole thing of they say that about communication, isn't it? You know, what is it? Most of the conflict that is created is based on poor communication and the fact that we've become a species of, you know, animals that just listen to respond as opposed to listen to understand and interrogate and like, oh, hang on a minute, let me take a moment to think about this.
Yeah.
You know? But if you think about it though, over the last decade at least, man, like the flow of information to people has like, it's been exponentially. It's just been growing exponentially. So I think over time, as the brain's just naturally lazy anyway, you know what I mean? People just like, okay, you know what? That seems credible enough. I'm not going to check it. I'm just going to go ahead with it because they need to pseudo process that information, get rid of it for the next bit of information that's coming, you know?
Nobody's vetting anything.
Bro,
people don't have time to vet information. People are not even looking forward to that.
In our minds, we're doom scrolling in our minds, even. You know, like I'll go as far as saying we're doom scrolling in our minds. You know, as a people. I mean, these are things that I say this from my perspective, right? These are things that I try to fight against. These are things that I personally try to fight against. Like, nah, I'm not gonna get into that rabbit hole, or if I go into a rabbit hole, how is that rabbit hole benefiting me as an individual, right? In terms of my quest, in terms of my vision, in terms of what I'm trying to contribute to society, right? Is it making me better? You know, is it making the people around me better through me in some sense, you know, when I pass on that information and things like that?
Okay, that's perfect. So that actually brings us to our discussion today. So we just want to just express ourselves because we get to hear a lot of things happening. We just want to come here on Epic Tube Moments today to just discuss something that's been going on, just making the rounds these days. What is the value of a man in a relationship? Women these days just tend to say they have a lot of value that men do not see. And men are saying we are the ones that actually uphold more value in a relationship. And we just want to make people understand what value does a man bring into a setting, into a relationship, into marriage. I don't think it's anything big. It's not like a big topic to actually just
you
go
sure,
wide.
mate? Are you sure?
That's what I'm saying. So, like,
Are you
like
sure you want to go down this rabbit hole? Is that what we're talking about today? Can I caveat for anybody watching this now that we are very, very aware that this is just our perspective.
This is just our perspective.
And bears no statistical significance to the general population. However, we like to consider that we are quite astute at observing our society, and therefore maybe we might touch on one or two things that make sense. Shall we caveat?
Yeah, we actually need to caveat that.
Because,
so
bro, man, you're trying to throw a grenade into the room, man.
This is just our individual opinions, okay?
What do men bring to the table versus what women bring to the table?
Yeah, so...
Okay, now, bro. Sorry, pardon my language.
Yeah,
sorry.
I really don't want to make it sound that... It's not like, what do men bring to the table? What is that? What is the purpose of men in relationship or in a circle?
Wow.
I just want to make it... So someone was even saying, okay, if you have a wife that is a world boxing champion, and you are like the spouse or the husband, and when they ask you what do you bring to the table, you say you bring...
Sorry, no, I know this is a serious conversation. I know this is a serious conversation. Listen, I'm glad you invited me to talk about this. But have you heard what he said?
Did you hear the analogy?
He's opening the conversation with...
Randy, I was just saying, what if
you have a wife who's a world boxing champion?
I'm looking at it differently. I think it has to do with capacity. So I think men should fulfill a need that they have the capacity to. It's not about just being a man. What do you bring into a relationship that is a need?
Okay. So that's not to say it's not important, right? No romance without finance. You know what I mean? We grew up with that, right? We understand that. We understand that. Okay, we're not wet behind the ears from that perspective.
You got to have a J-O-B.
If you gotta be with her.
So the first time I heard that thing, not in the song, I didn't know it was that song. No romance without finance, you know. I thought I heard it from my friend and I felt like, geez, where did you get that line from? You know, he just kept smiling until after some years I was listening to that song again.
And I'm like, oh yeah.
So this is where this guy heard this from.
No romance without finance, man.
Yeah, sorry.
And so we know that is some baseline. That is some general baseline. So let's park that, okay? But I do personally believe in this idea of the man bringing some form of overall leadership from the perspective of what is the vision, right? What is the vision that we're going to pursue? Right? And is that going to make us feel fulfilled? Right? Or can the woman buy in to the vision that the man brings? Right? And therefore will trust him to provide that leadership. Now, leadership is not perpetual. You know what I mean? Like, again, I want to temper these things before some people start jumping at us like, no, we're not misogynists or anything, all right? We're just talking real, right?
Yeah.
Because there are just certain things that the man should bring. Masculine energy, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that everything is without seeing everything as if you're a hammer, everything is a nail.
Yeah. So that's the point I was trying to make there. Like if you say a man should bring masculine energy, So the masculine energy is supposed to serve a purpose, right?
Yes,
So,
I agree.
so what is the masculine energy trying to solve in there? Because a lot of women will be like, I really don't even need that masculine energy. Is it for protection? Is it for presence? Is it like a cover? You understand? So we're trying to look at what do you positively impact a circle, a relationship, your wife, a partner, that you would say, as a man, this is what I bring to the table. Okay, financially, we know a lot of men are out there hustling for their families. And most men, some men will actually want their wives to just be stay-at-home wives while they go hustle, which is normal. But most women will not want their husbands to be stay-at-home husband while they go and hustle. So financially, we know men are out there trying to just, get that settled. Then if it gets to that masculine aspect of it that you're talking about, then it comes with also security. Most men feel, okay, the masculine side of them would be like a form of protection. That's where if somebody knocks or bangs on my door just now, I wouldn't say my wife should go and open that door. As a man, I would want to go and face it, to go and say, okay, so that's what you bring. So, and that was why I was just trying to bring that that funny part of it there. If you have a wife that is a world boxing champion, and someone asks you, what do you bring to the table? And you say, I bring security. Your wife will just be in the house and be laughing. I just knocked you out yesterday. And also you have a wife that earns more than you do, and someone asks you out there, what do you actually bring to the table? And you say, okay, financial stability.
Obviously the first scenario I don't think is a very, very
I understand
it's a very popular scenario, right? Having said that, as a martial artist, I know some badass ladies who come to the dojo and they will especially when you're carrying a few extra pounds like me and you can't maneuver really quickly and you're doing jiu-jitsu.
You're going down.
You're in a leg lock quick. So, but the other aspect of saying that, some women actually earn far more than the man. I think that's I don't think that's a thing anymore. Do you see what I mean? But I also believe that if that situation exists, it means it gets onto the guy they carry on.
Plenty things with the guy they carry on. Because to be factual, back home I was in that position. My wife was making way more than, but then, it's a home.
Yes,
it's a home.
But the thing is, people are not looking at it that way. People are saying, we have been hearing you guys talk about what the women bring to the table all the time. It's not like someone is trying to just point fingers at anyone, but the men are saying...
No, but I'm talking about myself because I'm a practical example. So I can talk about that particular situation. Yeah, I can't just come up with, I can talk about that situation based on my own personal experience at that moment. Like, this is how it is. Like,
so if you have people,
but a lot of people are not even in that situation, so they just try to pick up pieces. Like, it could be this, it could be that, it could be that. But bro, I was in that situation and I didn't feel like it was a thing.
I think it depends as well. Sorry to cut in, Fred.
Yeah, no, we're just having an informal discussion. So you can check it.
Okay, I was going to say that I think it depends on if it was like you were earning more than her and then circumstances change and then she started earning more than you. I feel like the respect you get in code will be different if
you were already
from the beginning, right? Like from maybe
I was gonna cheekily say that. The operative words for me in that sentence in my mind is I was in a similar situation as that. That's the operative term. Do you see what I mean to me? Because I'm like, yes, it did happen. As in, it did happen. But make you not be say that is the status quo. Because if we're talking about it being the status quo, that's a totally different conversation. However, we live in a world today now where, people feel like, okay, we could live like this in perpetuity. You as the woman, you're earning a whole lot more. And I'm going to do other things. I don't know, look after the kids or whatever, Personally, it wouldn't work for somebody with my personality, to do that in perpetuity. But as I say, a situation where a woman's earning more, I think that's a moot point in today's society as far as I'm concerned, right? But I believe that there are certain things that, okay, as per say, okay, waiting man they bring to the table. You know,
Yeah, I think the location also matters as well, in the sense that maybe like in the
yes,
West,
you're
like
right.
abroad,
Right.
people kind of tend to view it differently. But as opposed to like back home in Africa, I know for sure that there are a lot of ladies, even friends I have, that would not even consider a guy that they earn more than, because they think something is wrong. Why should I consider a guy that earn above? You know, they're always looking above. And we kind of cheekily say that that's why there's a lot of, like in quote, single ladies these days, you know, because they're here, but they're always looking for someone above. For a guy, it doesn't matter, right? You can always go down. You can even get married or be with someone that's not even working at all. But I feel like for ladies, they always want to step up. So if a lady is earning maybe 100K, she's looking for a guy that's earning above 100K, right? So it's just kind of like the situation. Well, in some cases, eventually they end up with someone that maybe they earn more than, but I just feel like the society itself, like there's this, I think it's Vicky James also. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention people's name, but it's just one popular, I think, fashion designer that happens to earn more than her husband. And anytime she makes the post on social media and dress, I can't look at it. Sometimes I just read the comments to see what people say. And what men and women, majority in the comment section, think it's not right. You know, they say things like, oh, it's because of the money he's there. It's just a matter of time he will leave you. You know, those kind of stuff. So it means like the default mindset is a man should not earn less than a woman. I don't know if you get my point. And personally, for myself, for example, I'm earning more, but I'm doing that because my job is flexible. I'm working in tech. I can manage my time. Nobody is looking at when I clock in and when I clock out, as opposed to my wife that has to go to the office at a particular time and can only leave at a particular time, right? So I'm doing all the school runs and everything, but it doesn't mean she's earning more than me. I don't know if you get my point, Fred. So I feel like it's just the circumstances that people find themselves in. I feel like everybody needs to be flexible depending on your circumstance, right? It doesn't have to be maybe because one person is earning more than the other person. Because the way they make it look, especially women, is almost like, okay, if I'm earning more, then you become the wife. Technically, in quotes, that's how people make it sound like you've now become, even though you're the man, like you become the wife because you're the one at home doing all the things that maybe they say traditionally is women that do. So,
you hit the nail on the head there, bro. You know, talking about saying traditionally, because I was just going to say that there's an interesting layer there of how we have been programmed, how we have grown up. You know, a lot of people talk about the idea of, you know, patriarchy and things like that. And that could seep into this conversation, I think. But as a little segue, I believe that this thing of patriarchy is tied to this common language that we're using to communicate with ourselves right now. And therefore the world. That's the truth of it. And to my mind, anyway. Okay, to my mind, if people want to differ from that, that's fine. You know, but the framework, if you like, of patriarchy, quote unquote, i.e., whatever systems are associated with that, and then things like that. You know, that has to do with this language that we're using. I know that my roots are from in Africa. We had a lot of matriarchal communities and societies. I mean, you know, a matriarchal sort of like thing wasn't strange to us, if you see what I mean, as a people. And there was no real discussion about the role of men, what they bring to a family versus what a woman brings to a family. I don't think that conversation was a thing, okay? Because people might say, oh yeah, you know what? We live in 2025 now. So yes, please, we're very cognizant. We're very cognizant of the fact even that we're living in different times. However, we can still distill it down to what the conversation is.
Yeah.
You know? And therefore, this programming that we've taken on has been coming for a long time. But even back then, even when they had matriarchal places, like in the Yoruba culture, the men would go to the farm, right, to get the crops out. The women ran the commerce. They were in the markets, right? Some of the women might cook and all of that. And then it bears into that conversation of what does a man bring? And, okay, are we talking about it from the perspective of, family men? Is that who this conversation is for? Or is it just the dynamic between, whether they're cohabiting or whether, whatever it is, but they have this unit, right, of a man and a woman, and they're saying, okay, we're on this journey together, or this phase of our journey together, or however you want to call it, right?
Okay.
What is it that the man is bringing?
Let me just rephrase it like this, okay? If I put it to you directly, okay, let me just put it to you guys. What do you bring into a relationship? I wouldn't want to use that phrase, what do you bring to the table? It's something that's just been overused there. What do you bring into a setting as a man? Even though you know that your partner actually has a lot that she contributes, but what specifically would you say, this is what I bring?
Personally, right now, I would say optimism. I am the optimist, but also, given the nature of my work, which I try to align with my personality, I have to be optimistic.
A lot of women will say
you can't build a company and be pessimistic, right?
Go put food for table. See, this is
exactly, that's what I was going to say.
No. I'm optimistic. That I'm going to wake up tomorrow and the skills of my hands will put food on the table.
Yeah.
And that's also applicable to
Of course, man. Of course. Like, Mama, man, you got to pay to play, man.
I agree.
Would I want to actually just liken that to being like leadership? Like
I think so. I think it's important. For me, I think as a leader, I think you have to be able to be optimistic even when there is no clear, cause for optimism. However, somebody needs to be able to at least maintain the bigger picture and see what the vision is and know that, okay, what we're experiencing is a blip. Because we're talking about blips now, guys. We're talking about blips. We live life. And alhamdulillah, we're in a position where we can do certain things. We can, all of that. But still, fam.
Yeah.
So as long as you can maintain the hustle and keep your mind and keep your mentality when the ship is going, it doesn't mean that the woman cannot bring that to the table, bro. But I think that the onus is on the man most of the time.
Yeah, so a lot of women out there
to be strong and create, and
a lot of women out
somebody
there.
Go type for comment when they see this. They say,
that's
this
what I'm saying now.
They're programming, but it's all good.
A lot of women out there, they just want like a punchline. They want some. They don't want you maybe beating around the bush. I, as a man, this is what I bring to the table, and I bring protection. That's what they want to hear. And the woman goes like, "Okay, I'll give that to you because." Men are mostly masculine, and anything that has to do with strength, physicality, you give that to men. Okay. As a man, I have this cover around you as a woman, and that's why most women just want to get married. Being single does not give you that societal cover. When you have a man around you as a husband, they look at you differently. If you're single, people look at you differently.
Yeah, I agree with that, Fred. But I think that personally, for myself, what I would say is that the number one thing I bring to the table is financial security, and I think that's what most women. That's kind of like the foundation, right? Without it, things like it doesn't matter if you have compassion, you're kind, you're good, you're gentle. Without that financial security, everything falls apart, right? But that's, for me, is like the foundation. It's not the only thing you should bring, right? Because you can bring financial security. If you're a bad person, if you're a horrible person, then
of course,
the relationship will be horrible, right?
Course.
And
that's not denying the fact that that's what you still bring, even if you have bad character.
Yeah. I mean, we were saying, Frank, earlier that this whole thing of, we know that this idea of there's no romance without finance. Like, can we then try and go beyond that metric? That's what I'm saying. Like, can we go beyond that metric then and say, okay, let us assume that the baseline is no romance without finance.
Yeah.
Which kind of then says, what kind of species are we connecting ourselves to?
Yeah, I mean, for me, if we take the finance out, I will say that I bring kindness and compassion. I'm kind of understanding. if you can't do something, I can tell you that, oh, can I get this? And if I notice you can't do it, I won't make you feel bad, right? I will just say, okay,
yes,
don't worry about it. Let's do this.
consideration,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
consideration.
those are kind of the things that I take into consideration. As I said, for example, my wife goes to work, I'm at home, I wouldn't let her come back and make the dishes and all this kind of stuff. Right? I'll just sort it out because I know you're at work from morning, you're coming back 6 p.m. You should just come and meet everywhere, kind of arrange and set up and stuff. So those are the kind of things that.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm kind of understanding and flexible to be able.
I think a lot of people downplay this thing you just said. Now, when they say, "What do you bring to the table?" people just look at it financially. That is majorly that's what people look at. That's what women look at financially. Okay, and also I think that finance angle is something that has actually made men to actually be looked at as men. If you don't have that financial prowess, people don't look at you as if you're a man. Even if you're married, yes. Even if you're married, even if you're happily married, and you don't have that financial stability, the woman automatically sees you less a man. You see, so I understand. She may not actually say,
it's there, right? You might not say, and you know that. Okay, go on, pray.
And that's why I just like the angle you just actually the last point you made there. I think it should go beyond finance. We should have attributes that have to do with, character. Okay, now let me just give you an example in the UK. I get to hear a lot of women in the UK complain that their husbands are not trying. That if I go to work and I come back, you got to work and you just came back. Why would you want me to just assume that role of a wife, cook food for you, clean the house, take care of the kids? Why can't you bring that part of you that we should say, okay, that's what you contribute, that's what you bring also to the table? Why can't you assist your wife? Why can't you be compassionate? Why can't you, just be very caring and nurturing? It's not only women that are very caring and nurturing. Men too should also have the ability to be emotional. Some men in the UK just feel the emotional part of them will make them look less a man. So they just try to
because when the car breaks down, I don't call her to come and help me pick up the car where it's broken down. You get when I clear the snow outside, when the snow falls, I don't call her to come and help me. And both of us will go to work. So, my take is, it's basic. Everybody knows what he has to do. As little as, let me use myself as an example, as always. As little as change the light bulb. Bro, if I'm at work, my wife is going to call me and tell me to come home and change the light bulb. So when we come back, I don't even wait for her to say that. So when we come back, I look for whatever it is, try to change, go buy it, come and change it, and all that. I'm not asking her for this thing. So why is it that when we come back, you want me to enter the kitchen and cook for you?
Yeah, but that's the point, right? Yeah. So the point is that there's really no such, I don't want to say something as a man's role or a woman's role. Because, okay, let me use myself as an example, right? It's the opposite. My wife is handy. So you would not believe it that when we buy all this furniture and everything, she is the one that couples it. I'll try and I'll just get stuck, and then she'll come and pick it up and she'll look at it and she'll now say, okay, like this. And exactly, you see, so
that's like one in 100.
That will have been the opposite. It will have been me doing that, and you get what I'm saying. So sometimes, but I get your point, Randy, that it's almost like some responsibilities are defined in quote, it's almost like you do this.
I think you said something about
a lot of responsibilities are defined.
Yeah, but the thing is that with these defined responsibilities, in most cases, I feel like some of them you don't talk about it. You just kind of settled into it. I don't know if you get my point.
I agree with you on that.
So the point now is this: women are not saying they don't want to take that responsibility of doing what they should be doing. Probably, cook for their husbands, do the normal chores in the house. What women are saying in the UK and most parts of Western world is, we are doing the same job. You go out and hustle, and I also go out to hustle. It's not like back home in Africa where probably most men go out to hustle and their wives are just stay-at-home wives.
Enjoying.
Yeah. Most women in Western world are working 12-hour shifts. And when they get back, you are demanding a lot also from them when you can also be a support. You can.
So are we assuming they're contributing 50-50 in terms of finance?
So that's a different narrative actually.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter if we both go out to work 12 hours each and come
hang
back.
on a minute. Are we also adding to the pot of soup here that these relationships are generally just transactional after all?
I bet it has always been.
I know. No. I was trying to go for controversy. It's all right. I was trying to go for controversy.
Okay, let's take one step back. Like Fred, you mentioned back then at home, our moms will stay at home, dads will go to work, bring the money, then the moms will do all the, cleaning, take care of kids, the food and everything. Then now in this new generation, we have the wives working as well, right? So they also go out, the man goes out, everybody comes back.
Yeah.
So for me, it now goes down to, if I'm still doing 90%, 95%, like I'm still paying all the bills, doing majority of the things, even though you're working, then I will still expect that, okay. I mean, I just feel like every woman should be proud to serve her husband food. Like, it should not be something that we should start talking about, like, in terms of, I've gone out. And I just feel like a woman should be proud to serve her husband. That's my own opinion on this, right? So it's just like my kids, when I pick them from school, I just fix something for them. Like, it doesn't matter if I have meetings. Sometimes I'll go I'll try to give them something because I just recognize that that's something I need to do. So I feel like a wife, right? This one is like married couple. I feel like it's the responsibility of a wife to, the least of all things, serve her husband food. That's what I feel like. So I don't think it's something that should be up for debate. I don't know.
I don't think it's actually up for debate. I think it's just taking a step back to understand when we're talking about what you bring to the table. The patience, understanding, and support. We understand that women also, they have a lot that they put in work-wise. So if your wife actually just came back from 12-hour shift and she says, I am very tired, I won't be able to do this. As a man, at that point, how do you take it? Do you feel it's something that shouldn't have been said? Or would you say, okay, I understand, you can actually just go and rest, I'll just go and make
No, guy, we're dealing with human beings, right? We have to, I always say, my religion is empathy. My religion is empathy. If I was to say, if someone says, what's my religion? I'll say empathy, because she's a human being too. People get tired, man.
That's what I'm saying. So at that point,
you have to be ready to. I mean, dude, what kind of human being would you be, though? This is what I'm saying. Like, so.
Yeah, but Fred, that's when you go into the fridge and take what's there and go to the microwave. So something.
But that's what I'm saying. That's just what I'm saying.
You're talking about food. I think Fred is talking about sex, though.
No.
You're talking about food. I'm talking
about the other one. No, I'm not talking about the other
The irony of our brother's handle there, as he said that statement, is not lost to me. There's a whole load of comedy there, man. There's a whole load of comedy in there. Dude, that is a clip. That is a clip.
That one needs a clip on his own. Yeah, that one needs like 1 full hour because there's a lot of stories on that one flying up and down, especially in this UK, right? But yeah.
So that's the point.
Yeah, because Frank was talking about fridge. Is the other fridge, bro?
There is that.
So
let's call a spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade, right? There is that. Yeah.
Okay, so Fred, are you referring to the other?
No, I'm not. See, Rand is just saying something different. Rand is just saying something different.
That's what she goes.
What I'm trying to picture is, what do we actually give back to that family we have? That's just what I'm trying to look at. Okay, so if we say, you have a wife, she's actually just trying here in the UK. You as a man, what is your role? That's just what I'm trying to go back to. What is your role? Your role is not just only finance. Your role is not only just being a protector, a provider. Your role is also
guidance. You got to do the research. You got to do the research.
Your role should also
information. Come with the information that's going to help you thrive.
Because sometimes you can have all of these and you lack complete character. You don't have patience. You don't have endurance. You don't have understanding. So I think
those are the kind of problem, brother.
Those are the things.
When we started this conversation, I took a little bit of notes, Frank, ready, and then I said something about leadership, right?
Yeah.
And then, so we're talking about, putting finance aside, because I feel like in the Western world, like my wife, she's a professional. Like, we keep going back and forth as regarding finance. Like, she earns more than me, I get a new job, I earn more than her. Next moment, she's earning more than me. Like, that's how we go back and forth. I'm talking about me and my wife right now, right? So let's take finance out, because even though it's not 50-50, because we make basically about the same, but 90%, 90% of my cash surely comes in when I'm kind of like short.
Yeah, classic women, right? Classic
so
women.
I go back to, thank you. So we'll put finance on the side. Leadership. I feel like I bring in leadership. Like, they are a lot of time, even on the job, it's kind of stressful for my wife, and I give her advice. Like, I tell her what to do. I feel like that's what makes me a man. I take control of almost every situation, both psychologically, physically, or whatever. Like, I'm there. Wait for me. I'm coming. I'll come. Make sure everything is fine. Like, I'll use an example. Like, one of them, I don't know if it's the right example that should go online, but yeah, something we could talk about.
Just try to censor. Just try to censor.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it has to do with professionalism, man. I had to come in, even though I was not in that profession, right? I told them, hey, don't say this. If you say this, women, they were kind of scared, and they're like, hey, we have to tell the truth.
It's not about strategy. It's all about helping her strategize.
Thank you.
Just help her strategize.
Women,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm talking about professionals, like 3 women who are professionals. They've been practicing for more than like 10 years. And then I was just listening to their conversation. I couldn't help but chip in. I said, hey, the society that you're in don't like this. The moment you come in and say the truth, man, you're down. Like, no one's gonna take it that it was a mistake or something. So this is how you guys are gonna handle it. Just try this. You had already gotten a letter or to, and then, they took the advice I said, and then it turned out well, So, like, I pride myself on being a man that they like, like, I came in after that situation.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like natural with most men, like, built, like, God put it there. Sorry, I'm a practicing, like, I believe in religion. A lot of people on this side don't, but I do. So I believe like God put it in there in the man to take charge in those kind of situations. Yeah, it might be. Well, that's it though.
But then the woman has to acknowledge, right, and give you that opportunity to take charge, because then she needs to acknowledge that you're the head. Because we have this whole debate on if the man is the head or if man and be all equal, and then that takes it to the next level. Obviously, if you look up to someone, then you can take the person's advice. But if you think you're on the same level with someone, chances are very high you will say, "Oh well, how sure am I that the advice you're giving me is any better than what I want to do?" So I feel like the fact that she acknowledges you as the head, that means she can kind of lean on your advice and put it to practice is key. And I feel like it's one thing that is lacking these days in kind of relationships.
I think when men actually come true in relationship, like if you actually put your best foot forward, women acknowledge that this is leadership. A lot of men are in relationships and marriages, and they sometimes don't give like the best form of advice, position, best form of cover in their relationship. Just like what Randy said, there's a point in your marriage that you can just if you're putting your best foot forward in a lot of things, the woman acknowledges it. So if a wife is not acknowledging your leadership, something is wrong. It's either you're not leading properly or you're not just preferring the best solutions to a lot of problems that come out in marriages and all of that. It's not just being a man. It's not just being there as a man. Even if you're providing and you're not leading properly, a lot of women see you as a weakling. And sometimes they probably may not want to follow. I know some men that don't have technical knowledge in a lot of things. So when your wife wants to ask you about this, you don't know. They want to ask about this, you don't know. They want to ask about that, you don't know. But when it comes to finance, you give money. So sometimes they see you that you're very weak in a lot of things. The only thing that you're so good at is just to provide money. But some women will also...
Sorry to interject, Fred, but you will keep missing this thing. You have to also be good in the other room. That's it counts for a lot of females these days. Like, man, it helps. Like, take charge in that other room. Like, It's
And
very important.
that's why we're not just bringing it up. We know, we've not actually said much about that because we don't want to just bring that up anyhow.
But it's an important aspect. It's an important aspect. We're just being gentlemen. We're just being gentlemen.
So that is also very important, like very, very important. So when you see some women just carrying long faces, maybe something is wrong in that room also. So
yeah,
and that could also be something that majorly some men
you're
should
not
bring to
doing
the
what they
table.
want you to do, because we all know that. Again, I don't want to take this to a different direction.
That's
but
why it's a steady climb. But Randy wants us to just move, just climb up.
Yeah. I mean, just back to Randy's point there, and what you said, Fred. There are things that women want men to do, right? That men don't want to do because they feel like, oh no, I shouldn't be doing that. I would not mention, but I mean, it's obvious. So then, again, it's something to do with the other room, and then that brings up some kind of, I don't know if it's conflicts and disagreements that like just speaking to people, to friends that are married. I've had at least one or two say, "Oh, my husband wouldn't do X, Y, Z, and I would do Z, Y, X." Right? Literally the opposite of what he would not do, and I do it, and I'm like, why? And they'll be like, well, he doesn't just want to do it; he thinks he should not be doing it, and I feel bad that I have to do it to him. So again, that emotional intelligence to be able to understand if and when your no is actually, it's almost like your no is hurting your partner. Because, for example, this kind of conversation should not even go to third party, right? But then it's going to third party. So it tells you that, okay, maybe the man on his own side is not being understanding. Again, it could just be there's a traditional man that has his own strict principle that a man should not do X, Y, Z, to his wife, in quotes, and will not just shift no matter what, So I feel like to make things work, both parties need to be able to compromise. I feel like it's more like negotiating, like, okay, I'll shift a bit forward. You're trying to make a deal.
Guy, listen, if I hear babe, I say no. Then we start to negotiate from no. Eventually, I'll do everything. I'll try to do it somehow. Eventually, I'll end up doing everything. But it's like, no, not again. I'm not falling for this. But you still fall eventually. You know what I mean? These are the T's and C's that you don't sign up for. And also, you got to understand as well that, bro, we're saying a lot of these things that we're saying with obviously some benefit of perspective, and people evolve, people evolve as well. And I think that being considerate enough to consider that, okay, is important. To be as a man, to be able to reflect on your own growth. And also, hopefully, if your woman sees you as a leader, hopefully she can follow that path as well. And just being able to stimulate that continuous, okay, what iteration of ourselves is this? And where do we go from here? And what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our journey? And I think being able to, create a space where that conversation can just happen without feeling like there is something else attached to it, that's just something that I was just thinking, because I was just like, well, yeah, all these things make sense, but eventually, as the man, you should be able to, correct course, for the team, to say,
So, Fred, I would like to know, I'm asking you directly, what do you think a woman should bring to the table in quotes? Because I've seen there's a lot of debates and conversations around that. In fact, there's even more debate on what a woman should bring as compared to what a man brings to the table. Every time you hear what does a woman bring to the table, and women don't like that at all. They don't even want that conversation to come up at all. So what do you expect?
I think for me personally, I think this is just for me though. I think one of the first things that women should actually bring to the table should be femininity. Bring your feminine self to this table, because I don't know if it's the life situations of the kind of jobs women do, or maybe how much they earn. Women have actually changed from being feminine to being some form of masculine, kind of. The romance
Yeah,
the romance that actually comes with being feminine.
There's a whole conversation about that.
Yeah,
I personally believe that it's there's a whole playbook for that.
It's very sweet to actually have a feminine partner. It gives you an extra energy.
It activates the man in you.
It activates the man in you to actually go out. Do the
It's
needful.
not even because, and a lot of the time, it's not even because, like, you're not a man enough. But I personally, from my experience anyway, and how I feel, I think when a woman is feminine, because being
feminine,
I need to be like, okay, I need to turn up here.
That being feminine, it cuts a lot of excesses out of relationship, a lot of stress out of relationship. Because if a woman is feminine, the nurturing aspect of that woman will come out. The very quiet, simple nature of that woman will come out. A lot of women nag too much. The being supportive, genuinely supportive, not because I really want to, prove to this man that me too I can do, or I can actually, work harder and make money more than him. It's not a competition. So for me, I think that's what a woman should bring to the table. Not necessarily being supportive financially. Maybe you probably want to bring something financially to it, but that is not my major, what I would say I really, really need in a relationship from women. And also, I think a lot of women these days have actually forgotten.
Women, pray for your man, bless your man.
A lot of women have, a lot of women these days forget the fact that they are not just women; they are mothers. If I have a woman who acts like she doesn't take the relevance of being a mother seriously, it makes me feel like you don't really have much to offer me, even if we're in a family situation and all that. I feel that part of you is not what I can see. Women should learn to have the aspect of being, they showcase the characteristics of being a very good mom. A lot of women do not have that. I don't know if the world has actually changed. Some women don't even want to get pregnant. Some women don't want to breastfeed.
To that fact, bro. Right?
Yeah.
Not even to that fact. Okay, let me not say fact. To that point. Okay, to that point. I have to. It
still boils down to the basic, and it still boils down to
it's late in the day. Yeah. However, the thing of some women don't want to get pregnant. Okay, that's a personal choice. It's kind of like deciding to eat akara or buns. That's that.
As long as their partner know about it, it's a conversation.
Yeah. Exactly. So this conversation should be between the man and the woman that want to get together and say, okay, what are the parameters here? What does success look like for us?
And I don't know if you've noticed this. And sometimes some of these things I actually come up with, it's actually different for a lot of men. For me, I think if you have a partner and you expect her to be your partner, you probably want to expect more in areas where she sees you as her all. So women are married to you, but they still keep alliances with their families more than they actually have you as a spouse. They prefer to listen to their brothers. They prefer to listen to their parents. I used to think that when you actually get married, your wife actually leaves her home, and now she makes you her home. She makes you her all in all. So whatever comes outside, she combines with yourself to fight the forces outside, right? But when you have a partner who what she brings is like partial commitment, it's like one leg in, one leg out. If I notice say you won't act like this, I don't go. Like she's already prepared even before you think she's prepared.
That's an interesting angle. I mean,
so
I don't know if I can
women are working
that,
hard. Women are working. Some women are actually working hard both ways. One way to knock out, and the other way to stay.
Okay. As regards to what you just said, I feel like that's also inbred in women generally. Like, I don't know. Do you have a sister? Women generally, like they say, men traditionally, They say women never forget the home. The home now is where they were born. But traditionally, where I'm from, they always say the woman never forgets home, like where she was born, right? So, well, and then they'll say the man, once you get married, you've left home, Well, for the woman, not to the extent of she ups and leaves you, but I'm telling you that woman, you guys will have plans on how to save money for your family. Now, when I talk about family, as from the man's point of view, your immediate family, like your wife and then your kids. But man, the woman, just pray that her brother or her father or her sister don't have issues and they need money. The pressure is going to be on you to at least take from that our savings that we have. She has to do something. And even if you say no, she will find a way to take from what's supposed to be for the whole family and give it. But on the man's side, once you say no, it's no. And then you even tell your extended family won't even come near you, sir, because you already have an immediate family. So I think it's inbuilt in them. Like me, from where I grew up and in the family I grew up, I come to terms with that. So when I put my foot down and then my wife keeps insisting, no, it should be nice for the whole week just to get what she wants, and everything, I'll just shake my head. I'll be like, So it's one of the things I've come to terms with, like,
Yeah, I mean, it's strange that what you just said, exactly what you just said. Experience that I probably refer to, and everybody has experienced that in one form or the other. I think, Fred, you made a really good point about just bringing that femininity. I feel like these days, even jokingly, sometimes you hear women, their friends telling them, "Now, man, you be." I don't know if you've had that phrase before. It's common whereby they tell a woman that, "Now, man, you be." You see a woman's friend is telling her that a man you be. I don't know if you get, because maybe she's, I don't know, bought the house, or, she's doing big numbers or something like that. But I mean, it's really common to hear that a man.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that says something about what the role of the man is, right?
Yeah. That's what I was even trying to say. So in that situation, you think that the woman has actually taken the role of a man in that home. If your friend sees you as a man in a relationship or a man in that marriage, you've taken over. And it actually shows the man is weak. The man is not forthcoming the way a man should.
Yeah. But I feel like you lose your power as a man. Again, it goes back maybe because I know one or two people that are in that kind of position. But I feel like you lose, in most cases, you lose. Okay, let me give an example of where a situation whereby the wife is working and the husband is not working. So she's the breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so if she comes and says, "Oh, we have this after work party, I need to go to," what's he going to do? Is he going to say no? I don't know if you get my point. Even if he doesn't want her to go, he can't really say no. I don't know if you get the point I'm trying to make. Like, I just feel like you lose some authority if you find yourself in that situation whereby, like, and then, because traditionally, again, going back to traditionally, it's always the other way around, whereby the man is the breadwinner, right?
Yeah.
I know one or two people that found themselves in that position whereby the wife is the breadwinner, and
yeah, but then,
that's
sorry,
from the
I'm
jump.
going to play devil's advocate here, but I think devil's advocate's being fair here, right? But then in that case, would the man just come and just say, "Oh, listen, I'm going for a work party," and then it's just all right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, can the man just, I think the ideal situation would be a situation where that, because I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking from my lens, but I think as a man, I would consider the fact that I might say to the people at the Christmas party or whatever at work, or say, "Oh, listen, can I bring my wife along? It's a night out, right? And I want to do something with my wife as well, right?"
That's assuming there's no office.
But you would also assume that the woman would be, humble enough.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I see it: humble enough in her role as the feminine in that unit to say, "No, my man must be here with me."
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
However, I feel like very few women would I don't know. Hey, I don't want to indict people. I don't know.
No,
It's
fine.
the internet. But
Like,
I just feel like, man, I just feel like
I mean,
very rare you find a woman who would do that. Like, but men are more likely to think and say, man, I'll marry my babe, come this thing, you know?
Now, but let me ask you, when you switch roles, what do you expect should happen? When you voluntarily have switched roles, what is the main duty of a man? And now you're not doing. Randy, what I'm saying is this: if you are supposed to have a role to play in any organization at any activity, and you are not playing it as you should, somebody else will take that position, that place. So if your role as a man in the house, you are not being protective, you are not even emotionally available, somebody else will be there.
Yeah. So you guys understand a lot of what's happening in the UK, then, you know,
even in America and Canada, where you are, Randy.
No, but our own child, plenty like that. You know. So I just want to say that I don't think any man. Well, when I say any, I mean like a larger proportion of men will readily just switch roles with their spouses. Yeah, maybe situations or conditions will have made it, and then. A lot of things we need to understand is, for a lot of us that left back home and came here, would I say in our prime or in later, not when we're younger, both the husband and wife can't chase, what will I say? Like, can't chase qualifications or trying to get good jobs that we had back home over here at the same time. Well, in Canada, it's kind of like difficult for both of you to do it. So I'm just talking from my own perspective, right? So you tend to find what normally happens in a lot of times is the man steps back. Speaking personally, like I always use myself because I know about myself. I don't know about other people. So when I'm talking, I try to talk about, like I had to take a step back to take on jobs that I could get immediately so I could sponsor my wife to get her professional certifications. So I had to step back to push her up there because she's the weaker sex. I can't decide to go to school to get my own qualifications and then my wife go and work in the warehouse. That is not anyway, it doesn't seem right to me. So I took on lesser jobs that I would have been, on a good day I would have taken if I was single. Just to push my wife.
You gotta get the cash flow in. Yeah. No, that's real. That's real.
So I push my wife up there, and then she gets there. She's making more than me first because of the effort I put in to get her up there. So at that point, where she's making, she's there now. Now it's my turn. So you see, now there's going to be a switch of roles because you guys had a plan. This is what's going to happen. And now she's making more than you first because of your own effort. Not because of, she put the effort to still be there, but financially, you took all the whole burden, you paid her fees, you did everything just for her. This is what we are going to do. Now it's your turn. So she takes the lead. Because it's not like you, so she's bringing him money now and everything. So it's not like you readily just slow down and say, you.
But it comes down to that thing though, that leadership thing. That leadership thing we're talking about. It takes a leader to be able to say that, to say, okay, here's this strategy. This is what we're going to do. This is the vision. This is how it's going to play out. And we stick the course. And you hope you will have a partner who will stick the course with you.
Yeah, that's true. Because for example, with this Japa era, there are a lot of people that the man came with his wife, but he's a student. So he can only work 20 hours. So she's the one that can work full time. So automatically there's a switch of roles because she's working full time. So she's making more money. She's bringing the money. And because he's working 20 hours. So he's working 20 hours. So he has more time to take care of the kids because she's working full time and he has to go to uni and
I know, but he's studying too, though. But he's studying too. Let's not discount that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that because of the situation, he will find himself maybe earning less taking care of the kids. They have children because he has that time while she goes to work. So again, it's a switch of roles that is not planned, but it just happened because of circumstances as well.
I think that's why what Rand is even talking about is a planned move. It's something that you guys have actually planned, and it's you being a man, being very understanding to say, okay, I want to push my wife to be in this position. It's not like just saying I want to take the weaker side by doing lesser jobs. You understand? Even having to sit down with your wife to come up with such a brilliant idea makes you more a man than just saying, okay, whatever happens.
But Fred, we've read also stories whereby there was a plan like that, and then at the end the woman leaves the man.
Then you have to pray to God. You have to pray to God.
Where the woman leaves the man and say, okay, now. I mean, I have a friend personally that he brought the lady from Nigeria. He's actually in Sheffield. Brought her from Nigeria, did her nursing exams, everything. She stayed with him, but she passed the nursing exams, got the job in the NHS. She left him. So again,
on what grounds?
She just left him. She just wants him anymore. Right, so it happens. So I mean, guys, social media stories. Like somebody I know personally, do you guys personally?
No, it's really funny now. If the man is not good in the other room, there should actually be a reason. Because when I get to hear some of these stories, I want to understand what exactly happened. Because sometimes when you hear a lot of things happening in marriages here in the UK, even you as a man, you can relate. Like when you hear that, okay, this wife,
Fred, that woman, I'll talk about that woman now. So that woman now, she didn't know he was not good in the other room.
That's what I'm saying.
She didn't just maybe love him or something like that. Or because sometimes women can manage.
Yes.
They don't manage this person until they get a better person. And they're very good in pretending. Right? While managing this person,
we
they
need to
pretend
pray for men. Men are
perfect
and
that's it's not even something new again. I think a lot of people know that men are going through a lot. That's why you need to be putting your best foot forward. Sometimes you need to have like 20 ears and like 10 eyes to decipher what's happening next. Because
it's like the guy
under your roof.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the guy that did not go to uni.
Under your room, they are planning pool. You don't know what's happening. It's just your bag. It's just your bag you're left with. The next minute, your bag is outside, and you will start a different one.
I saw this story. I saw this story of this guy that he's not educated, but I think he's a businessman, made a lot of money, into business and the rest. And then he sponsored lady all through uni and everything. Yeah. And then when she was done, she said, "It's an illiterate," and she left him on that ground that, "Oh no, I don't want to be with an illiterate." But he sponsored her all through, as I said, through her education and everything. So those things happen a lot as well. It's more frequent these days. We hear stories of people bringing the woman over and then she leaving them. It's kind of like, it's more like, it's more on the women's side than even the men's side. So.
Okay, so just the last part of this before the last part of I think we've been talking about it. Just the last part of it before actually. Let's start with Frank. How would you take it if your wife or your spouse, your partner, from the jump basically earns more than you? Is this something that would be a problem to you?
Again,
to be honest, it would be a problem to me because I don't know how.
It would be a problem to me too. But what are we talking about? Are we saying that I have no prospects, or I'm not going to do you see what I mean?
Okay.
What are we saying? What are we saying here? That is this on the basis of saying, man? I'm saying a lot of this stuff with the benefit of hindsight, and perhaps also from the perspective of having a good person in my own life. You see what I mean, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you go look the person character now still. Mm-hmm. Say I have prospects. This is not going to be a permanent situation, which I suppose answers the point. Because in my mind, I would kaku say come, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I better get on top of this, if you see what I mean. Not because I want to subdue, but because I want to have the honor and the pleasure of saying, okay, you know what I mean? Let me bake the bread. They come, you feel me? Anyway, that's my 2 cents on it.
I agree. I think it depends as well. It depends on if, maybe my situation just changed and as he said, I can go up eventually, or if I'm just destined to be in kind of that position whereby I'll be on if I'm destined to be in that position.
I'm looking at Fred like, what, mate? What are we saying here? Are we saying that this guy is just gonna be like no prospects? Like then, what does that say about the woman then? Like,
Yeah.
are you gonna be with someone who don't get prospects because he
No, but
got
some
his good
people are
luck?
like that, actually.
That's it. That's
Fred's
it.
point. Yeah, there are
That's a
people
big
that,
no, actually.
no, there are people, no, actually, there are people that are in that position. Like, there's one or two people I know that are in that exact position whereby the woman is earning more than the man and it will stay that way for maybe circumstances or other things I cannot mention here. I don't really know how they manage it, but I've always looked at it from outside to say that cannot be me. It's not like
It don't make sense. Yeah.
like I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Well, I can say something as regards that, right? If you are the balls in the relationship, like is the marriage, like the woman makes more than you and the finances is still in your control. Like you can say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And even if she brings 60% or 70% of the money, you are the man. Well, it still goes back to what Abe just said. Like you have a good woman in your life. You have a good woman and someone
Everything
who's
changes.
homegrown. Yeah, man, you don't have to be, well, personally, you don't have to be scared of that. Instead, it will even propel you to make sure that you step up. You know, that's the bottom line. Because me, I'm a married man. Like, you know, I have a woman in my life, and you know, at the point she was making more than me, but it didn't even seem like that because I had full control of the finances. Like, you know, I had access to like, you know, I can tell her, hey, you need to send this money to this person, and it wasn't an issue. Like, this is what we need to do, and it wasn't an issue.
I think it just boils down to what sorry, Randy. I think it just boils down to what Abby just said. I think it has to do with the character of the wife you have, the woman you have. You understand? Because see, there's this thing that one guy called me. I was telling him in the UK. I don't know. He's going to watch this later and laugh. Do you know that they both work, but when the wife ends, when she gets her pay, she sends everything to him. And I was like, no, not lie, guy. So see, I'm telling you, should I screenshot and send to you? I was like, not lie. If you have a wife that does that, then you know you have a wife. I'm not saying all women
she's
should
like,
just...
she's like, I'm in your camp.
just
I'm in your camp. We're in the same camp. No, but of course, but he has to elicit that from her.
So, but funny enough,
You know,
funny enough,
she must have seen something in him and in their history together.
That's what Randy,
to say,
that's what
I get
Randy
full confidence. See,
yes,
this guy is my guy.
That this money will be put to good use.
So
this money is for the family.
So I don't need to feel a type of way.
That's what Randy also is talking about. You are showing that you're a man. You actually want to lead this family. If you have like good leading skills and all of that, that woman will trust you. You know, probably, you know, be doing that. But when I heard it the first time, I was like, hi, I don't think this is possible. Because there are a lot of women that would not want to do that.
Okay, majority of women will say that woman is a fool. In fact, you should look at the comment section. They say something like that. They will they will not only tear into that woman, they will destroy her as someone that doesn't know what she's doing.
In fact, do you know something? That husband might not have a lot of times. He didn't even ask that woman to do that. But because of the family, because of the family she came from, what she saw her mother do, what she saw, how she grew up. Like, I'm not saying that is it, but those are normally the pick-up things that form those kind of women's behavior. You won't even accept. They'll just start doing. They'll just be doing it like that. You know, you as the man, you will be shocked at first. You know, but well, that's it though.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it from a different perspective of this thing called marriage. Are we having a different opinion about marriage itself? Because when I was growing up, looking at my parents, I used to think that marriage is the complete idea of two people being together as one completely, not partially. So if you get to have somebody who is your wife, a lot of things do happen though, because sometimes you see women come into relationship with very good intentions and the man probably will just be lacking. And sometimes a man coming in with very good intentions and the woman is just there lacking. So sometimes things happen. But marriage itself, we shouldn't be even talking about this. If marriage, the ethics of marriage is what we get to see in marriages. We shouldn't be talking about would a man feel bad if your wife earns more than you. She's my wife, for crying out loud. As a man, I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can do, but right now it's not really adding up the way it should. But my wife is there. She'll take care of that. And the wife too can say same for the husband. We've been married for 3 years. I don't have a child. It's none of your problem. My husband is not complaining about it. So the ethics of marriage, I think there's something actually not really panning out there, because a lot of things are just falling apart. And that's why men cannot confidently say, even if I don't have a job, I will still be the man in the house.
Yeah.
They can't say that, So they just want to go out and just be needful. Even if it's taking like three jobs, even if it's just completely 3 menial jobs, just to have that, stability and that hold of the family financially, So marriage itself, there's something not really adding up there. Sometimes you get to see the best men, and they are toiled over by some women, and other women will be like, this guy is a good guy. So do you say, okay, you've actually married wrongly? A lot of those things now start coming up.
Right. I think times have changed. Just based on what you said, I remember growing up, actually, there was a time that my dad was out of employment for like 2-3 years, and my mom was working, right? She was working in NPC, then she will come back 5:30, and she would still do everything. She will still cook, she will still serve him. There was nobody that was saying anything like, I've gone to work and I've come back, so you should understand. She never said that, right? So it's just the new times, like this new generation, that we're beginning to see this, right? I'm not saying people should not be considerate. You get my point. Like, it was not, like, he was still the man. Let me just put it that way. So this is a typical case of she earning more than him. He didn't have any kind of source of income. He would go out, try to see one contract or the other. So she was steadily earning more than him, but the respect was still there. He was still the man. It was nothing. So the fact that we're even talking about it now tells you something is wrong with marriage.
Yeah, something is wrong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Life happened. Life happened, man.
Well, maybe it's feminism, actually. That's wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole notion and idea,
movements. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
See. There's this narrative also that is being painted out there. Women are saying
the conversation.
Yeah. No, it really has to do with this positioning of a man in the marriage. Some men are actually not leading the way the women expect them to lead. Even if you ask me, probably some of these men are still doing their best, but the women expect them to do more. Some women are saying the man is not actually moving or climbing the way they actually want them to climb. For example, you have a man who was just doing very well before he met this lady, got married to her, but she probably had to do, maybe some courses to, improve her set skills and all that. Now she has a better job, she's doing well. And she's probably also, maybe she's very intelligent and trying to just strive for more. Then she gets to a point where she turns and looks back at her husband, who is not really coming up the way she wants the man to come up. And it becomes a problem. And it could also be that the man is not down financially, but the man is not maybe technically or intellectually where she wants this man to be. It becomes a problem. You have a husband who probably goes to a round table, people are talking and your husband is very quiet. The woman will just be like, what kind of a husband is this? Like, these are your friends, these are your mates talking. This man was completely okay before he married you, but now you've actually developed yourself to a certain level, and now this man is no good. Even if he has all the set skills of a good husband, he's now not at that level you want him to be.
So now, Fred, imagine the opposite. Now the man is the one that is telling the wife that, like pushing her, he wants her to be like that young girl, even after she's had kids and everything like that. What do you think? Funny enough, 90% of men do not do that.
Yeah. 90% of men do not force their wives or their partners to assume that kind of a very young or very, trendy lifestyle. They don't do that. Even if they have the intentions, they don't do that. Majority of ladies actually want their husbands or their partners to look a certain way that is appealing.
It's because they're comparing themselves.
Yeah.
Classic women compare themselves.
And that's why it gets to a point where even if there's a problem in the home, the woman will be the one to initiate. I don't know if I've heard any story in the UK where a man will say the woman should pack her things and leave the house, or the man will be the one to call the police. I don't think I've heard that in the UK.
If you call the police, it's you they will send away now. Right? They will send you go.
So but when we hear all of these things all the time happening, who initiates all these things? So the man is
the power system. Because if you call the police, when the police come, They're going to ask
Generally in the
woman
UK, yeah.
except if
Literally.
there's no.
When they'll come, they'll tell you, bro, you need to find somewhere to go. You need to go to the Holiday Inn.
Exactly, Tracy. So
I just think lead with empathy. Leadership with empathy. That for me is what I think I bring to the table. But again, don't forget the men to have to do the work to get to that. Leadership is just not. It doesn't happen overnight. What I mean, even bringing the money in this day and age, it's because you've acquired a certain amount of skill, a certain amount of expertise that you trade in the free market, and you ensure that you're competitive. It's about keeping an eye on the future. I think about the world as it is today, and I'm like, flipping heck, man. What's the world gonna be like for my kids? Dude, look at what we've got, man. We've got rag. We've got LLMs, man. Imagine what your kid's gonna have, man. Like, so I think that's what I bring to the table. Keeping an eye on, okay, what's going on? Where are we? How do we evolve? As we go into the future. And making sure that, oh boy, we keep the romance with the finance in lockstep.
I feel like we need to acknowledge that in this relationship, in this marriage relationship, it's like there will always be a leader, right? And if you said leading with empathy, but whoever needs to follow, right, has to acknowledge that you're the leader. So if we get locked in this debate of men and women are equal, this whole radical feminism debate, I feel like that's kind of the major issue we're having today with marriages, whereby people just don't want to even let you lead in the first place because they feel like they have the same idea as you, or maybe they know as much as you do or even more. Yeah. So I feel personally for me, empathy, kindness, understanding, I think it just goes down to understanding. Just understanding. Sometimes you might not get things your way, right? You just take it. You don't win all. You say, okay, you know what? You play a draw today. Sometimes you even lose. It's like Arsenal, Sometimes they lose, sometimes they draw. I know Fred says, oh, this guy has brought Arsenal in here. But yeah,
they're always losing.
You go again. You're still in the title.
I knew he was going to say something about. I knew he was going to say something.
Yeah. So it's just more like looking forward to the future, right? Today, you might not get your way. Tomorrow is another day. So just having that hope, keeping that hope. For me, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. From my point of view, is teamwork makes the dream work. Like, we're together. We're in this together. Like. I'm religious. I always say God has always put the man at the top. I don't care what every other person says, but if the woman is there, she's to help. Like, we're together in this. So for us to grow together, all hands have to be on deck, Be a woman and I'll be a man. Just like Trump says, 2 sexes, man and woman. Like, let the woman be a woman and let the man be a man. Thanks, Fred, for that femininity thing. Yeah. It really shed a lot of light to me tonight. Like, just this discussion we had, brought a lot of things to light to me. As funny as it sounds, it feels like you know it, but then when you talk with some other great minds, you find out that, oh, I never saw it that way, Thanks for this, and it can only get better.
Wale.